Man, that boy Herring. People getting on that boy Herring right now. So supposedly, everybody's saying that Herring is ducking Shakur Stevenson because, that was supposed to be his mandatory. I guess, Stevenson stepped aside so, he could fight Frampton and he's supposed to get the, quote, winner. Or Herring has to decide within 30 days whether he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson or not. If he decides he's not going to, then he will get stripped of the belt. And then Shakur Stevenson's going to, his next fight, that's going to actually be for the vacant WBO belt. Which kind of works out good for Top Rank, and it works out for Bob Arum with the way he likes to do things and he likes to flow things. I'm not going to call him a duck. I'm not going to call him a duck. I'm not going to call him a duck until you see what move he makes. People sometimes I think they're too quick to call someone that. And I know he said that, hey, if I fight this kid, if I beat him, I'm not going to get any kind of credit for it. People are going to say that. He was young, and I'm not going to get any credit for it. When it comes to Shakur, I think it'll be both. I think some people will praise him and give him a lot of respect for beating Shakur, but I think it's true. I think a lot of people would also say that Shakur was overhyped. They'll say that he's never faced anybody, and he faced nothing but bums. And when he finally had to face someone, we saw what the result was. That is true. It is. People can say whatever they want. It's true. A lot of people are gonna say, yes, you beat a bum. I remember when people were praising Lubin and how great he was. He was going in. He was about to take on Charlo. They were saying this is a 50-50 fight. A lot of people were saying Lubin's going to win this fight. He has more skills than Jamel. He has more skill set. He has more tools in the box. People like to say he has more tools to his arsenal. A reason why a lot of people want to say that Shakur will beat Tank because of that. Whatever. But this is what people were saying. The fight happens, the kid gets flatlined in one round, and what does everybody say? He was too young, it was too early. That's what the same people who said it was a 50-50 fight, the same people who, said were actually saying that, hey, he's going to beat Charlo, and it was a 60-40 fight, Lubin's way and everything. The exact same people who said all these things, after the fight, they said he was too young. They said he did the fight too early. The exact same people. So to say that wouldn't be said in this same particular situation I think is not true. I think that would be completely off base. I think it'll be a mixture of both. Now, besides that, I think it also depends on the next move that he makes. Because it doesn't matter if people would say that. I mean, at the end of the day, if this is the biggest fight that you have available to you, then you should take this fight regardless anyway. You should. Now, he was talking about moving up. And he has the WBO belt, I believe, right now. The fact that he has a WBO belt, if he moves up in weight, he automatically becomes Teofimo Lopez's mandatory. So because he becomes Teofimo Lopez's mandatory, who's Teofimo going to fight next? Regardless of what Bob Arum says, they're not setting up a fight with Devin. They're not setting up anything with Tank. And Ryan Garcia's not going to fight him. Who could he fight? The best fight that he could do would either be a rematch with Lomachenko after, let's say, if Lomachenko's able to get past Katana, because that's not going to be a sure shot. Or you could fight the kid that just knocked out, Frampton. The kid who has height, who has length, who has movement. The same things you had problems with Katana. But with somebody that, that's more skilled. Still has that crazy height. So, and they want Teofimo Lopez's next fight to be a pay-per-view. So if he moves up and he takes on Teofimo Lopez and it's for 3 belts on the line on a pay-per-view, can you call him a duck now? He's put himself into a position where he's fighting a bigger fight against a better boxer. People can say whatever they want, what they believe Shakur is going to become or whatever. You're facing somebody that's obviously more accomplished. substantially more accomplished with a whole lot more hardware. You're taking on a top 10 pound for pound fighter, instead of taking on Shakur. So at that point, you can't necessarily say he's ducking because he put himself into position to get a better fight and a bigger fight. Even if he was to somehow get to stay at 130 pounds, let's say, and let's say he fights Valdez instead. Let's say he drops the belt and Valdez still wants to fight him, and he fights Valdez. Can you blame him for doing that? I know a lot of people say, well, he's dropping his belt just to go try to get another belt. That's a duck. That's a duck. Yet, these same people had no issue with the fact that, if Valdez was willing to fight Shakur Stevenson, Shakur's just going to fight him next. He was just going to fight him next instead of taking on Herrying, which was, he was the mandatory 2, and they were supposed to do a fight together. With Herrying coming off a Frampton win, knockout. Right now, if Shakur had the option to fight for that WBC belt, he would go fight that fight instead. Would we be calling Shakur a duck in that situation? So if he was to drop his belt and go ahead and fight Valdez right now, which would be a bigger fight than Shakur, which will get paid more money for than Shakur, and take that WBC belt, then flip back around and do a unification with Shakur. Would he be a duck then? Or if he got a unification and then somehow was able to swing off a pay-per-view bout with Tank Davis, would he be a duck then? So I think it all depends on what move he makes. I don't think you can necessarily call him a duck. It's what next move. If you end up fighting some low-tier fighter, or you drop your belt and you go up and you fight some low-tier fighter where you're not even going to fight, Teofimo Lopez or something like that, then I can understand. Then I could absolutely understand people saying that, okay, yeah, you ducked that fight. Because what the hell, you dropped your belt to come up here and fight nobody? That don't make no sense. Or you dropped, then I could understand. Or you drop your belt and then you still stay at 130 and you just fight any other regular fighter, but you're not fighting Valdez, and then you're also not fighting Shakur Stevenson. You're not moving up in weight to take on a top tier fighter. Then yeah, you could say like, yeah, then that looks crazy. That looks absolutely crazy. But I think you have to wait and see what move he makes before you can put that label on him. Because even if Shakur had the option to fight Herrying, Shakur had the option to fight Valdez. If he decided, you know what, he had the opportunity to take on Teofimo Lopez, and he jumped up and he took on Teofimo Lopez instead for 3 belts, no one will be calling Shakur a duck. No one will call him. They'll be like, he's taking on tougher, stronger competition against a more accomplished, fighter for more belts, more prestige with a bigger fight. So what I do is, I don't just, I don't look at it when it comes to the top tier fighters and the lower tier fighters or mid-level fighters. I don't look at situations and flip-flop what my stance would be, dependent on where this person is or who that person is. Because if it was Shakur taking on a Valdez, I wouldn't have said he was ducking Herrying. If he was moving up in weight to take on a Teofimo Lopez for all those belts, I wouldn't say he was ducking either one of these guys. So because of that, if Herrying makes any of these moves, I'm not going to say he's ducking. A lot of people would say that, Shakur Stevenson, he didn't make no pursuit to take on a Gary Russell who was willing to fight him. Lost his belt in the scale and then jumped up to 130. I didn't hear anybody screaming about how he was ducking Gary Russell at 126 pounds. You got to keep it the same when it pertains to everybody. So we'll have to see what moves he makes. But for now, like, subscribe, share.